योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तान् सञ्जीवयत किल शक्तिधरा स्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् कथाञ्चन स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विस्मृते विपरीतं स्यात् श्रीचैतन्यानमामितम्। Hare Krishna, welcome to our weekly Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are in the very important chapter, the ninth chapter of the first canto, where Bhishma is giving instructions to Pandavas and then also revealing his attachment and devotion to Lord Krishna as he is preparing to leave his body. So we saw the first 11 verses of this chapter where Bhishma welcomes everyone who have assembled at his deathbed. And according to time, place, and circumstances, he is expert in welcoming, although he is himself lying on a bed of arrows. So we first saw how he welcomes. First, we saw how Pandavas, Krishna, and the sages go to meet Bhishma. Then there is a list of amazing, so many great saintly people who go to see Krishna. And then we discuss how Bhishma welcomes everyone with affectionate words, although he is himself incapacitated. He doesn't allow that to come in his way of welcoming them. And then we are starting today we will start with these instructions that Bhishma gives from text number 12 onwards. So 12 to 17 is where Bhishma pacifies the Pandavas. He starts basically in the first two verses, 12 and 13. He sympathizes with their sufferings, what they have gone through. Then 14 and 15, he speaks about the power of irreversible time, how time is extremely powerful. And finally, in the last two verses of this section, 16 and 17, Bhishma speaks about how Lord's time is inconceivable. Lord's plan is inconceivable and how we have to follow it. Hare Krishna. So Bhishma is going to speak about these three themes. First of all, how he is going to sympathize with Pandava's feelings. What is the second?
Second is time.
I'm just testing all of you. The power of irreversible time. No, third, and what is the third one?
And pacifies the Pandavas.
Lord's plan. Lord's plan is inconceivable. First is about how he sympathizes with the Pandava situation. Second, he speaks about the power of irreversible time. And then the third thing is he basically teaches how we have to accept the Lord's inconceivable plan and not fight it, but follow it. So now we will go directly to verse number 12. So you can repeat after me. And then we'll chant 13th verse also. And then we will discuss the purport. So verse number 12, please repeat. अहो कष्टम् अहो न्यायम् यदि यूयम् धर्मनन्दना जीवितुम् नार्हत क्लिष्टम् विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रया. Last time who read the translations? Last time? So any other Matajis you would like to read? Please.
Translation. Bhishma Dev said, "Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God and religion."
Text 13. Samstite tirate pando Vrita bala prajavadhu Yusmat krite bahun kleshan Prapta tu kavati moho.
Translation. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great General Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions.
These are the two verses where we see how Bhishma is sympathizing with what Pandavas went through. And we are going back to verse number 12 because here there is sympathy. He is sympathizing with both two people here. Who are the two people he is sympathizing with? One is Pandavas, and second is specifically Kunti Devi. So if you see in text number 12, he is saying, Aho kashtam, aho nyayam. There has been so much kashta, so much of suffering, anyaya, so much of injustice. For whom? Yadiyuyam. For you, Yudhishthir Maharaj, who is Dharma Nandana, who is son of religion personified. Actually, you went through so much suffering that Jeevitum, third line says, Jeevitum narhata klishtam, you didn't deserve to remain alive. But still, all of you were safe because you took shelter of three things, ashraya, of three things. Vipra, Dharma, Achyutashraya. Vipra means devotees. Dharma means you followed the regulative principles. And Achyuta means Krishna. This is a very, very important verse. You read the purport and then
Maharaj,
there will be some special effects if you switch on the microphone. Forget it. Or you can read on the microphone. I have no problem. I can enjoy the special. I saw you were very. I'm peaceful. I'm happy.
Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthir was disturbed due to the great massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishmadev could understand this and therefore he spoke first of the terrible sufferings of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was put into difficulty by injustice only, and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, he should not regret the great massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the Brahmanas, the Lord, and religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Thus Bhishmadev encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthir to dissipate his despondency. As long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency. However, trying the circumstances of life. Bhishmadev, as one of the authorities in the line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas.
Yeah. So here, this is the beginning of Bhishma's instructions. If you see in the purport also, Srila Prabhupada elaborates on how they were protected by Brahmanas, the devotees, they were protected by religious principles, and they were also protected by Krishna because they took shelter of these three principles. So if you see in the purport, basically this is the beginning of Bhishma's instructions. This is how it starts. This is the first verse. So there are two very important things revealed in this chapter. One is the dharma or the duty that we have to perform. That Bhishma is revealing to whom? Yudhishthira and the Pandavas. And second, we see also in this chapter glories of Krishna, which will come later, which Bhishma will. Bhishma is first instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj. He already knows why they have come. Nobody has told Bhishma. And now, there are two things. One is glories of Krishna, which he will eventually reveal. And now he's first instructing Yudhishthira because he has come for instruction. And if you see, Bhishma, everybody knows he's lying on a bed of arrows. He's about to die. He's in excruciating pain. And the words of a dying man are normally very attractive. They attract everyone's attention. When he's dying, what is he going to say? And it is also said that when you are dying, what you speak, those words are generally true. People don't lie on the deathbed. So Bhishma is in one sense, a deathbed. So what he's going to speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj is very, very precious. We have to take it very seriously. And in the World War, after the Second World War, they did research on what are the most common words spoken by those who are dying, just before dying the battlefield. The most common word everybody spoke who were dying was mummy. They remembered their mother. Most 99% of the soldiers were dying. Even in fact, Hari Bhakti Suddhodaya describes, Sanatana Goswami describes very beautifully Hiranyakashipu's last words. Prahlad was telling him that you should remember Govinda, you should remember Lord, chant. And Hiranyakashipu said, Mummy. He remembered his mother. So the last words are said to be very significant because that is when all the emotions that are deep within they come out. So it is pretty clear that Bhishma is dying and he is on the bed of arrows and he's waiting. And everybody wants to know what he will say. And he had a benediction we discussed last time. He could maintain his life as long as he wants. So he stayed. He didn't die. Why? He was waiting for the best time. And the best time is when Krishna would come. So he didn't want to leave before he saw Krishna. And just to fulfill his desire, Krishna arranged a situation that was Krishna expert in achieving many objectives with one action. Ek tir se do nishan marne mein expert hai. In fact, Rupa Goswami describes one of the 64 qualities of Krishna is chatur, clever. And Rupa Goswami defines the meaning of clever. He says clever means one who can do many things at the same time. So he gives example how when Krishna was killing Keshi, Arishtasur, who came in the form of a bull. So Krishna was, he had lifted Arishtasur and threw him on the ground and he crushed him with his feet. And he was also looking at the gopis, the corner of his eye and casting loving glance. And simultaneously, I put one hand on the shoulder of his friend and he was composing beautiful poetry. So he was doing many things at the same time. So he says that is the definition of clever. Multitasking. Many things he can do at the same time. Then he gives different definitions of intelligence means something else. Smart. For everything, there's a different definition and different example he gives in the 64 qualities. So clever, he says, Krishna can do many things at the same time. So we can't imitate. We can't think I'll also be clever, I will chant japa also and check WhatsApp messages. I will drive also and do WhatsApp, japa and everything. That is no. Only Krishna is allowed to be clever. We have to be servant of the most clever, Krishna. So Krishna is very expert. He wants Yudhishthira to get consolation. He wants Bhishma to be pacified. He wants the world to get message. So Krishna achieves many, many things. And so Krishna comes to the Pandavas to see Bhishma. So we have already discussed how Bhishma raised three generations successfully. And actually personally raised them. So now he is raised Pandavas and Kauravas. Before that, their parents, Dhritarashtra and Pandava. Before that, Chitrangada and Vichitravi. And he also assisted his father. So basically 4 generations he served. And now when he is seeing Yudhishthira Maharaj is respondent, the first word that is coming out of his mouth is, what is the word? What is the first thing he's saying? Before that, aho kashtam. Aho means alas. Oh, how much suffering. Aho kashtam, how terrible suffering. See, actually, if you see, he is also suffering. He has suffered actually. Whole life he has suffered. And he's suffering also now. So, but he's saying, aho kashtam, aho anyayam, so much suffering, so much injustice. Who? Yad yuyam. He's not saying, I have undergone suffering. He could have said that. Because he has gone through that suffering whole life. And now, when Yudhishthira is in front of him, the first thing he should have logically said is, see, look at me. I've suffered my whole life. And I'm now again suffering. And he's saying also, oh, so if somebody hears only this much in the Bhagavatam, first line, oh, kashtam, oh, nyayam, so much misery, so much suffering. But he's saying, yad yuyam. Oh, that he didn't say, yad aham. He's not saying, I have gone through suffering and misery, although he is the one who has gone. Because none of his desires got fulfilled. He wanted to serve the kingdom of Hastinapur, but he repeatedly failing. He was misunderstood. But he's saying, you have undergone. We would have said, if we were in his place, we would have said, oh, kashtam, what I have gone through. oh, why I am suffering so much? When people come, we complain about our misery. So, but he's saying, wow, Yudhishthir, what you are going through, what you have gone through. And it's interesting. Bhishma has all arrows on his body pierced. And he's saying, oh, poor you. Imagine, your friend, some truck has run over him and he's lying on the ground and he's wounded and he's gasping for breath, and you go to help him and you have some scratch on your elbow and he looks at you and says, oh, you have a scratch on your elbow. If somebody says that, you will say, अरे पागल है क्या ये? वो तो पूरा ट्रक निकल गया उसके ऊपर, मेरे को तो बस एक थोड़ा सा स्क्रैच हुआ है. And he is looking at that. Actually, Bhishma, if you see, suffered more in one sense, because he was misunderstood by everyone. He had to fight against devotees. So this is basically Bhishma is teaching he is proving how he is a Vaishnava. He is teaching us how his life has been centered on a sincere desire to serve, although externally situations and circumstances may have gone beyond what he must have desired, but his intention was sincere. This is a proof. So although somebody may say, oh, he was quiet when Draupadi was disrobed, yes, mistakes, see, everybody makes mistakes, but that doesn't mean, okay, Yudhishthira Maharaj made a mistake, he gambled. That doesn't mean you say Duryodhana is good and Duryodhana should win the war. Just because Yudhishthira Maharaj made mistake doesn't mean Duryodhana is saint. Similarly, okay, Bhishma made some mistake, but he was a good person. That is the point. रास्ता कितना भी साफ हो, धूल तो लग जाती है. इंसान कितना भी अच्छा हो, भूल तो हो जाती है ना. तो भूल हो गया, अभी उससे हो गया. And it is not justifying that he kept quiet in that disrobing, but now we can see substance is coming out. When dying time, what you really are, that comes out. You can't put up a best behavior when you are dying. अच्छा मर रहा हूँ, चला था इधर पाउडर लगाओ, इधर लिपस्टिक लगाओ, ये लगाओ, तो सजाओ थोड़ा, अभी मर रहा हूँ, ऐसा कोई नहीं बोलता. Desperate, what is there in the heart, that comes out. So he is saying, yeah, you have suffered, you have gone through injustice. He is not complaining for self, he is worrying about others. This is a Vaishnava. Vaishnava means one who thinks, what is that word? Sanskrit? Para dukkha dukhi. None of you are getting disturbed by this. They're all saintly people. I'm really congratulating all of them.
We are following you because you are not disturbed. And you said,
No, it's not that I'm not disturbed. I'm not showing I'm disturbed, because if I show, then you'll get more miserable. So I'm pretending to be. So if I say I'm miserable, then you will be more miserable. Thank you. So what is the Sanskrit phrase for this? One who feels for the other's suffering. Para dukkha dukhi. A Vaishnava is always para dukkha dukhi. Always feels the pain and suffering of others. And others' happiness is happiness. Para sukha sukha. And when we are materialistic, then we are generally, it is para dukkha sukhi. It is para dukkha sukhi and para sukha dukhi. Others' happiness is my misery, and others' misery is my happiness. We saw this, no? During World Cup, after World Cup finals, the way in Pakistan and Bangladesh people are celebrating. When I was seeing those photographs and videos of people celebrating in the streets of Pakistan and Bangladesh, they were celebrating as if Bangladesh and Pakistan won the World Cup. इतना खुशी, बाप रे, मैं वो फोटोज देख रहा था, वो WhatsApp में वीडियो आ रहा था, इतने खुश हैं वो. Actually, they are not happy because they are not loving Australia. They are happy because India lost. But Vaishnava is totally opposite. Para dukkha dukhi. So, and if you see, it's not just Bhishma. If you see in this entire episode, even Yudhishthira Maharaj is in suffering, but he is actually suffering because he is thinking so many people have died. And see, even if you see subtly, Yudhishthira Maharaj's his lamentation was that, oh, others, innocent people, so many people were killed. So he is also feeling for others. Of course, Krishna made him suffer more so that the whole orchestra, he orchestrated this whole event so that Bhishma's glories can be spoken. But if you see Bhishma, like Vitrasur, his body, his duty was for Kauravas. Like Vitrasur was fighting for the demons, but his heart was with Krishna. Similarly, Bhishma, his heart was with Krishna and Pandavas, although his body was serving the Kauravas. So what we learn from this is whatever your external situation and see, I'll tell you, material world is so inconceivable. We don't know where and in what situation we will be put and what complications can come. It's inconceivable how we will land up where. But if the heart is in the right place, if the aspirations are true, then Krishna will protect us. That is what we learn from this entire episode. Because have you ever been put in a helpless situation? Right? All of us will be put. Like I know one young man, he was working in a slaughterhouse and he just couldn't leave the job because of some complications. I knew one person was working in a liquor bar. He was trapped for a long time. Very complicated story. I don't want to get into the details now, but the point is his heart was with Krishna. And he suffered, he struggled, and somehow the story had a good ending, but not the way we imagine. The point I'm saying is, what is more important is how someone is sincere in his service to devotees and Krishna, and how a person loves Krishna. We can't judge a person by his external situations. See, the world has defined objective parameters. This is what is a good person, this is a bad person. But Krishna doesn't see the way we see the world. That is one very big relief for me. Krishna doesn't see the way we see, We don't know who is a devotee. I remember many years ago, I still remember the date. It was 30th December 1999. Morning book distribution, Gaur Hari Prabhu had come and I took him to book distribution. We used to go to police stations, month of marathon, Prabhupada books. I was new in the ashram, young man. So we took around 100 Bhagavad Gitas in 2 big bags and we went to this police station near the JJ hospital. It's a Muslim area. And there in the morning parade, we gave the books. And none of the policemen took the books. And there was one young chai wala, one boy who used to come and give chai to the police walas. He looked at us and he said, "Aap Krishna ka book bech rahe? Aamko Krishna bahut acha lagta hai. Mera favorite hai." And he went around giving the books on our behalf to all the policemen and everyone took the Gita. All the Gitas were sold in 15-20 minutes. This boy, and then after that, we were like, I was so happy with him. I had some Mahaprasad packets. I stuffed his pockets with all the Mahaprasad packets I had. And then I asked him, "Who are you? What is your name?" He said, "My name is Aslam. I stay here in Bindi, Berampada, that area." And he's a Muslim. And he says, "My Abba and my Amma, they won't allow me to keep. I like Krishna's photos. मैं सब रखता हूँ घर में." He was all old, he must be 12 or 11, 12, 13-year-old boy. He was coming and giving chai, just poor boy. And he loves Krishna. And he was telling so much about Krishna. And I was like stunned. Externally, what is the... How do you... If somebody just hears the name, where he stays, what is his background, we would not imagine that he could love Krishna. But Krishna is all attractive. And Krishna, fortunately, doesn't... He looks at Bhishma for who he is, what is his aspiration. He doesn't see Bhishma the way somebody else would see by externals. And we learn in our own lives that we should not see the externals. Bhishma and Vritrasur, they are 2 powerful examples whose glories are revealed just at the last moment. Till then, so you may have somebody in your life and that person may be misunderstood whole life and just last may the glories may be revealed. So it's very, very amazing. How we see and how Krishna sees is totally different. Like I know one example, one instance in my life which changed me completely. I used to chant my japa and I used to rarely sleep in my japa when I joined the ashram. And I thought somewhere at one point of time, I started thinking I'm very good in Krishna consciousness. I'm a very advanced devotee because I don't sleep in japa. But I didn't realize that's because I had backup seva and I would sleep early in the night and get up. I would sleep at 9, get up at 4. I had 7 hours of good rest. So I would not sleep in japa. And the devotee sitting next to me was also another brahmachari. And he would sleep all the time in japa. And I would constantly, with my left hand keep hitting on his thighs and wake him up in fact, every Mahamantra I would chant like this, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I would Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Constantly would keep going down, up, down, up. I would make fun of him. I would say, "You're doing namaz japa, namaz," going down, coming. And he, unfortunately, he had a low blood pressure problem. So he had some issues, health issues. But I was thinking, oh, he needs help, and I'm helping him. I would keep waking him up, and I would chant, Hare Krishna. And then one day I had gone for a late night program, and then I came back at 1:30 in the night. But we had a rule, we didn't have rooms also at that time. So you had to get up at 4:20 regardless of what time you sleep. So I got up at 4:20 like the other brahmacharis, ran for Mangalarati, and then after Mangalarati we sit for japa, and it is very cozy, comfortable. And because I had only 3 hours, I was sleep deprived. So when I started chanting at 6:15, I was falling asleep, my body was paining, and I walked up and down. Still, my body was protesting. Then, while walking, I went one floor ahead up. We have what a medical room called Sevastan, where we have 4 beds kept, where sick devotees recuperate, who are not so sick to be sent to hospital, but who are not healthy also. And one bed was empty there. And I saw, and I got tempted. And I went, it was very comfortable. And during those days, I didn't even have a room, so we used to sleep on the hard floor. And here my body was paining. I had late night. I was exhausted. I saw that bed. It was around 6:20 in the morning. I just collapsed on it. Went off to sleep. And 8:30, I just woke up. 8:20, exactly 2 hours later, I woke up feeling fresh. And I ran to temple hall because brahmachari's absence in the morning program is noticed by the temple commander. So I ran and I came and I sat in the temple hall for the Bhagavatam class as if, I'm just quietly sat. The class is going on, I'm nodding my head. And suddenly I realized next to me is that same brahmachari who is always sleeping in japa. And he stood up and he's standing, and he would hear the class in the Bhagavatam class standing, and he would fall asleep. He would shake his head. And I kept looking at him and I realized this is what he is doing every day from morning 5 to 9. Every day he falls sleepy, but he never gives up. And just one day I felt sleepy and I left the temple hall and went to sleep. I couldn't struggle even one day, and here he is struggling every day. And then I realized, because I was teaching everyone how to keep a sadhana card. Sadhana card is sadhana means practice. Sadhana card is a card where you write one column date and next 5 columns, what time I completed japa, or the quality of my japa, how much Bhagavatam I heard or studied, what seva I did. We keep track of what we do, spiritual practices. So I used to give myself a score in my japa every day out of 10. Okay, I chanted 7 rounds, very good. 10, 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I used to keep scores like that. So foolish and naive I was. And I used to think, oh, this Prabhu is struggling so much in japa, poor fellow. If he kept a sadhana card, he would give himself 1 or 2, maybe 0.5. I would judge him like that. But when this Bhagavatam class was going on, and suddenly I looked at him and suddenly I had an epiphany. I had, the moment of realization. I realized, I gulped. I realized that okay, I have a sadhana card, but that is not the original. The original copy is with Krishna. Krishna is keeping my sadhana card record. So here I may give 9 out of 10 for myself, and Krishna, who has the original copy, may say, you rascal, you think you are doing very good japa? You are so proud, you get 0, 1 out of 10 today. And this Prabhu, he is always struggling in japa. And he always would tell me, Prabhu, see, I am so sinful. Because of this, I fall sleepy. You are so kind, you wake me up. I have so many lifetimes to go before I come close to Krishna. I have no taste in hearing chanting. See, this mood of feeling inadequate and feeling that I am not good, but I need mercy and not giving up the struggle. I realized Krishna, who was the original copy of his sadhana card, when this devotee is giving himself 1 out of 10, Krishna may give him 10 out of 10. So the way Krishna sees this world and us is different from the way we see each other. So this is a very, very important incident in my life. I realized, oh, Bhagwan to alag dhang se dekhte. आपकी नीयत कितनी भी अच्छी हो, दुनिया आपको दिखावे से जानती. आपका दिखावा कितना भी अच्छा हो, भगवान आपको अपनी नीयत से जानते. That is the difference between the Lord and us. So therefore, we have to learn to see the finer nuances. That is what Bhagavatam is teaching. It's not black and white. Now, Bhishma is suffering. Sometimes people say, oh, Bhishma was wrong, so he's suffering. He was quiet. Yes, the Pandavas also made mistake, but How can they gamble? Yeah, but Krishna gave them reaction. Bhishma also got reaction. But we have to see Krishna's plan is there. Krishna's protection is there for those who are sincere, regardless of the mistakes they make. And we can't put devotees in a box. We can't judge them. We can't even put Krishna in a box, saying that Krishna is like this, Krishna. See, we can put the deity of Krishna in a box, but you can't put Krishna in a box. You know, this is right, this is wrong, Krishna should do this. No, life is tough, life is complicated. Why some things are happening in your life? Why Krishna is not apparently reciprocating? Why he is reciprocating? We can't say. And there are painful situations, but Krishna has his most amazing plan, how to bring the glory of his devotee. And especially when devotees are leaving their body, what they say, what they do, it has very, very important, there's very important things involved there, which is beyond our understanding. Like one of the greatest examples in ISKCON of a devotee who left his body in a very remarkable way, and a very big leader also, is His Holiness Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. There's a beautiful book called Black Lotus written on him. And I remember when he left this world, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who was his very close friend, he gave a class in the temple hall on a Sunday afternoon. From 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he began the class. He went on speaking till 6:30 in the evening. 5.5 hours of marathon club. This is 2005, 2006. They were very close friends. So there's a very interesting way, like just like Bhishma is leaving his body, Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was dying. He was leaving his body. Dying is the wrong word. I take it back. He was a great saint. He's a great saint. He was leaving this world. So at that time, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was with him. Maharaj had a lot of high profile engagements. He cancelled all of those programs. He said, I will just spend my time with him because these are his last days, because he had gone through cancer and everybody had said he's leaving in a few days. So at that time, Maharaj recalled in his class that Bhakti Tirtha Swami in his last moments, last few days, he said he never thought about himself, never spoke about himself. He was only talking about all the other devotees. And then when he was in the real final stages, he stopped asking about others also, stopped talking about himself also. He started talking about Radhanath Swami. He said, he knew, Maharaj, very close friend, he knew how Maharaj joined ISKCON and what his story is. So then Maharaj told, Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj told Radhanath Swami that you should tell the whole world about your story. You should write a book about yourself. He said, no, I will never share. Maharaj never shared it in a public forum. He just informally told some of us some of the stories. And they are very adventurous, very mystical, unbelievable stories. And he didn't want to tell the world ever. But Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj said, this is not your story, this is Krishna's story, and for the world's benefit, you should share. And Maharaj was consistently reluctant because devotees are always shy to promote themselves. But Radhanath Swami Maharaj was ordered by Bhakti Tirtha Swami, who was 4 years senior to him in sannyas. He took sannyas in 1979. And he said to Radhanath Swami that I am a dying man. I want you to promise me, I want you to promise a dying man that you will write. So Bhakti Tirtha Swami leveraged on his seniority. And Maharaj wrote that book as a service to his senior godbrother who was leaving this world. And then, because of that book, Maharaj got a chance to meet the President of America, the President of India, the Prime Minister of India. Modi came for the book inauguration, book launch. Then he got a chance to speak in the House of Commons, the British Parliament. And this is exactly what Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was doing when he was alive and he was preaching. He was meeting Nelson Mandela, he was meeting all the big leaders, world leaders. So he basically passed the baton to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. This is the power of a Vaishnava's desire, and especially when he is dying or leaving the world. So Bhishma Pitama is leaving the world, and at that moment, he is giving this instruction. See, if you see Srila Prabhupada also, just before he left this world, there are many instructions he gave last days. One of the most powerful instructions, one of the most powerful final instructions was, your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate with each other. I'll repeat. Your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate with each other. This is what Srila Prabhupada said during his final moments. Now, many of us know this quote of Srila Prabhupada, and very few people know that he spoke this during his last days. And still very few people know the circumstances and the situation in which he spoke this. Do you know this? Anybody knows what was the situation when he said this statement? The circumstances is very interesting. There was a young disciple of Srila Prabhupada. All of you are able to hear, no? You're not getting distracted by the kirtan sound. There was a young disciple. He came in front, he was just 22 and Srila Prabhupada is 82. He's living. And everybody knows he's living. So this young disciple came in front of Srila Prabhupada and started crying and said, Srila Prabhupada, you are living. And you have told us the story of Yayati, who was dying. He had become very old. And his son Puru exchanged his youth for his father. Puru told his father that you take away my youth and I'll take away your old age. And Yayati became young and Puru became old and Puru died. So Prabhupada, I want to exchange, I want to give you my youth because your remaining alive will help the planet so much more. What is the use of my life? This is what the young disciple said. And at that moment, Srila Prabhupada smiled. Srila Prabhupada appreciated that sentiment of that devotee because it is a genuine, heartfelt sentiment. But after that, Prabhupada smiled again and said this famous statement. What is that statement? Your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate with each other. So what is happening here? There is a subtle indication that for many of us, it is easier to die. It is easy to die, but very difficult to cooperate with each other. That is what Srila Prabhupada is saying here. Because dying is easy because what dies? The body dies. But cooperate means the false ego has to die. We would prefer our body dying than the false ego dying. So when Srila Prabhupada is leaving this world, what he is telling us is supremely profound. So Srila Prabhupada wanted his devotees to be united in his service. And he said this especially when he was leaving this world, like Bhishma is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj. You know. So, and we were lamenting, devotees were lamenting when Srila Prabhupada was leaving. But Srila Prabhupada is telling cooperate. So if you see in this pastime, both Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhishma, they are not lamenting about themselves, but they are lamenting about the situation because what others are going through. You know, Bhishma is feeling pain because Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to serve Krishna and his Vaishnava, as a Vaishnava, his service was obstructed by Kauravas. And Bhishma is also a Vaishnava, and then the pain, the greatest pain for devotees is when there is a lack of opportunity to serve. And Bhishma saw that Pandavas were deprived of service, therefore he felt pain. And therefore he's saying that was injustice, that was anyaya. And now it is over. Now it's all over. Now you have an opportunity to serve. And he's going to reveal how this is Krishna's plan. See, this is the mood. Devotee's mood is always to serve. And he wants other Vaishnavas to be happy. And they will be happy if they get chance to serve. See, one very beautiful pastime I want to share. Like Bhishma, I always somehow, I all fancied Srila Prabhupada with Bhishma. And there are many examples. Like one classic example is in 1974. This is a long story. I'll just try to be a little brief. This is like amazing story. 1974, Janmashtami, the whole world was told that ISKCON temple is opening in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada came few days before Janmashtami, and when he saw the campus, he was shocked. Nothing was ready. And Srila Prabhupada burst the bubble. He said, this is a fiasco. What temple? No wall, pillar, nothing is ready. You are going to open this temple? And they had sent invitations to all over the world. All ISKCON temples, all the leaders, big politicians. Prabhupada said, temple cannot open. And then he was chastising, scolding everyone, left, right, center. When can you open? Finally, they decided that Ram Navami next year, 1975, they can open. Such a mess it was. So then Srila Prabhupada was scolding everyone, and Srila Prabhupada was disappointed because the service was affected. And why this temple construction had not happened? Because at that time, this is just before emergency, those of you who were there at that time, Indira Gandhi had just about to impose emergency, a lot of license Raj, a lot of restrictions. Cement was not available. So cement was highly rationed at that time. So devotees were struggling. Subal Swami and Guru Kripa Swami, they were trying to build a temple. They were not getting cement. So there was struggle going on. And they were trying to see how we can get cement. And meanwhile, Srila Prabhupada fell sick. And not just ordinary sick, very high and incurable malaria. And for almost 3-4 weeks, Prabhupada was not eating anything, was only taking 1 or 2 slices of orange once in 3-4 days. And Srila Prabhupada said a few times, my father died like this. So then when he said that, devotees became more panicky that Srila Prabhupada wants to leave this world. So devotees said, Srila Prabhupada, sorry. And then Srila Prabhupada said, because of your sins, because of your incompetency, your insincerity, the Guru takes all the reactions. So they became more guilty, more pained. So then they sent a message to all the ISKCON temples, start 24-hour kirtan for Prabhupada's good health. But Prabhupada's health kept deteriorating more and more. And at one point of time, neither could he eat, nor could he stand. He was just lying on the bed. And devotees thought he's leaving the world. And that time the news came that one of Srila Prabhupada's very close friends in Vrindavan was Seth Bishanchand, who was also staying in Vrindavan. And Seth Bishanchand and Srila Prabhupada had a common friend. No, sorry, Bishanchand had a friend, not Srila Prabhupada, who was the governor of Uttar Pradesh at that time. That was Dr. Akbar Ali Khan. He was the governor of Uttar Pradesh. And Seth Bishanchand was his close friend. And Seth Bishanchand was also a friend of Srila Prabhupada. So when the devotees came to know all of this, that and UP governor had come to Vrindavan to meet Bishanchand. So then they told Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada in that state of weakness, fever, no eating, 104-degree temperature, consistent. And this is July 1974, August 1974. Those who have been in Vrindavan at that time, it is miserable, extremely hot. It's miserable. Those who have gone during Janmashtami, Radhashtami time, you'll see it's very, very hot. And Srila Prabhupada is, when he heard that, he said, arrange a program here, call the governor, and I will meet him. The devotee said, Prabhupada will arrange the whole program, we will manage the program. The Prabhupada didn't say anything because he didn't have any energy left. So they arranged a red carpet welcome for the governor, a big program, a feast, and a pandal program where the governor will speak. Because the whole idea was, he will come, he will see the project, and Srila Prabhupada can impress upon him the need to get cement, and he can talk to the government and release some cement. So when governor was about to come, Srila Prabhupada told his disciples, lift me up. So they lifted Srila Prabhupada. He couldn't even put tilak. So devotee had to put tilak on Srila Prabhupada. Somehow they put on dhoti for him, and he said, take me to the stage. So Srila Prabhupada is walking and he is sitting on the chair. Completely, his body is couched forward. He's so weak, he can barely sit on the chair. He's lying on the bed for the last so many days. And only devotees know what has happened. Devotees are very, very concerned. And that moment, governor's car comes. And as soon as the governor gets off the car, they had arranged a red carpet welcome. And devotees on both sides to shower flowers and garland on him, to welcome him. Very officially and formally, a royal welcome for the governor of Uttar Pradesh. And as soon as he got out of the car and walked towards the stage, Prabhupada realized he's come. Prabhupada sat straight, grave. And as the governor walked closer, Prabhupada got up, fully erect, and shook hands with him firmly. And took a Giti Mahagala and put it on him, smiled, and asked him to sit on the chair. And then Srila Prabhupada sat next to him. And then the governor spoke. For half an hour, he gave a lecture, and the whole lecture, Srila Prabhupada was sitting, listening to him, nodding his head. And the governor spoke on industrialization, glories of India, and all of that, typical what a politician or a statesman would speak. And Srila Prabhupada respectfully heard him. And then Srila Prabhupada got up, and this was shocking to devotees. Prabhupada gave a talk. For 20 minutes, Prabhupada, as if, and devotees knew this is very, very dangerous for Prabhupada. And for others, they had no idea. So many people who had come from Vrindavan, they were thinking it's a normal stage program. Bhaktivedanta Swamiji is doing a program. They had no idea what was happening. But devotees knew this could be a farce. Prabhupada's help is not allowing, but he's doing it, pushing himself. And he did that. And now came the worst part. After Prabhupada's talk, Prabhupada sat down. And then, to everybody's shock, Srila Prabhupada ushered the governor to the dining area. And there, on the dining table, Srila Prabhupada and the governor sat. And to honor his guest, Prabhupada ate dinner. He had not eaten anything for the last 4 weeks and he had no appetite. He put up the biggest pretense of all. He actually swallowed, he ate food sitting next to the governor, talking to him as if everything is normal. And then after that whole thing, the governor got up and he shook hands with Prabhupada. He left, Prabhupada walked with him. Governor sat in the car and the car left the camp. As soon as the car was out of the glance, the vision of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada collapsed. And devotees held him. He didn't fall on the ground, of course. And Srila Prabhupada had 105 degrees. And they rushed him. So this was what he did. Of course, there's a long story. Then after a few weeks, he became all right. But then the point I'm saying is this one incident shows how much a devotee is willing to sacrifice and go through suffering for others. That's what Bhishma went through. I remember once in one Prerna lecture. Prerna lecture is a lecture for youth in our temple. Young boys come. So once we advertised a very special lecture called Establishing Ram Rajya Within or something like that. And Maharaj, Radhana Swami Maharaj is going to give the talk and he was very sick. He fell sick in the morning and this advertisement reached Pune. Boys are coming from Pune also. So we were expecting almost 2,000 young boys. And in the morning, Maharaj told Gaurang Prabhu, the in charge of the Prerna festival, he told him, I'm not giving. I'm very sick. So the Gaurang Prabhu, to everybody, to my shock, he looked at me and he looked at Maharaj and said, Maharaj, no problem. My man is ready. He will give the talk. I heard, what? He could have said he will give. I said, Prabhu, Radhesham Prabhu is there. Pune ke bahut log aa rahe hain. Idhar se, koi nahi dega, tu de abhi. I said, Prabhu, kuch nahi, lecture dene ka hai. I said, Prabhu, ordinary lecture, people are expecting Maharaj. And that time we didn't have all this internet, WhatsApp, sending messages, like this 2006, I think, 7. See, what are you saying? Maharaj ko abhi tension nahi dene ka. Maharaj bimar hai. So आप दो प्रभु, people are okay to listen to you, Radhesham Prabhu और गौर गोपाल प्रभु. अरे किसी को बोलने का सबको रिक्वेस्ट करना पड़ता है इतना तुम दे दे. So I was his assistant and I thought you had to surrender, but I just didn't know how to surrender. I said no. He said, you're giving. And Maharaj is lying down and then Gaurav said, Maharaj done, मेरा आदमी ready है, so हो जाए. And I went to the office. क्या पढ़ने का रामायण दिमाग पे कुछ जा नहीं रहा है, पूरा ब्लैंक. Every half an hour I'm coming down asking Gaur Govind Prabhu was the servant of Maharaj. Maharaj कैसे? Maharaj बीमार है. अच्छा, then again half an hour. Maharaj बीमार है, नहीं देंगे. I was so blank. I was praying Krishna. I was feeling miserable. I don't want Maharaj to be sick, but I don't want to give the class. I mean, I can't say let Maharaj give the talk, but it was such a turmoil I cannot describe. And then at 4 o'clock, something I started reading. अभी रामायण कहाँ पढ़ेंगे? Last minute में क्या पढ़ेंगे? क्या सब कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. And I was also not. I was just a youth preacher, new preacher in the temple. Anyway, so it was a very miserable time for me also. And around 6 o'clock, Gaurav Prabhu said, Maharaj told me he'll give the talk. I said, really? Maharaj health कैसा है? No, I think he's still sick, but he didn't. Maharaj doesn't dare to talk about his sickness. He said, Maharaj didn't say anything about his sickness, but I know he's very sick. So he's giving, but he told me he'll give. So then I came, Maharaj gave the class, as if, like he sang Radha Madhav, and the final Kirtan, talk, question answers, everything normal jo performance hota hai, normal prerna, same talk. And then after the class, with Gaurang Prabhu, he went down, and during those days, Maharaj would go down and meet all the young boys, taking prasad, he would smile at them, talk to them. So I saw Maharaj is walking with Gaurang Prabhu, I said, now there I cannot talk to him. So I wanted to thank Maharaj that he extended himself for giving the Prerna lecture. So I said, best place is I'll stand outside Maharaj's room. There is a bathroom. I'll stand there. As soon as Maharaj comes, he's going to come now in 10 minutes. So I'll stand there so that I can, when nobody is there, I can tell him how grateful I am and how anxious I was. I didn't want to give the class and Maharaj saved me. So then Maharaj came. So as soon as he came, I saw he wanted to go to the washroom. So I waited outside. So when he came out of the washroom, I said, Maharaj, thank you so much. You extended yourself and you gave the talk. And you know what Maharaj did? Maharaj said, Prabhu, I'm so happy to give the talk. And he embraced me. And when he embraced me, when he hugged me, I realized his body was boiling hot. I said, Maharaj, you have very high fever. He looked at me and he kept quiet. I said, it was very high fever. He didn't say a word. He said, Prabhu, it's worth It's worth dying a million deaths if the Vaishnavas can be pleased. I said, I didn't have the guts to give one small class, which people would have anyway forgotten after one hour. That I didn't have the courage. And here is a person who was willing to die a million deaths to please Vaishnavas. Of course, we can't imitate this. If you are sick, please go to the doctor. Don't come and preach. Srila Prabhupada said, if you imitate the Goswamis, you will die. We can't do this. So, I hope that is very clear. Otherwise, you'll get wrong ideas. The principle is get out of your comfort zone. That is the principle. The principle is not that wait to get very high fever and then try to preach. Till then, कुछ सेवा नहीं किया, तो मर जाएगा आदमी. But this is compassion. That's what I'm trying to say. Seeing the other suffering. Like, New York, see, when Prabhupada's ship came to Boston fire, that, harbor, and he's seeing all the lights. When you see the razzle-dazzle lights in America, what will you think? Like, I remember the first time I went to New York, one devotee was very enthusiastic to take me to Times Square, because Times Square is very popular. For those of you who have been, Times Square is a place where it's all light, everywhere light, and it's like so much glamour and light. Wow, it's like you just have to say wow. Sab jagah light, aisa flash ho raha hai, kya, it's like as you've gone to a world of extraordinary illumination. Of course, it's illusion, but it is illumination. And even I said, wow. So he said, Prabhuji, उतर के देखें. मैं उतरने का नहीं गाड़ी से, गाड़ी में बैठो. गाड़ी में उतर के तो फंस जाएंगे. गाड़ी में, I told him, we'll go only if you go straight, और रोड से क्रॉस करने. किधर रुकने का नहीं और उतरने का नहीं. That was a condition on which I agreed to go to Times Square. And then we went, and I'm like, wow, light, and I walked. And after we crossed that street, it's a long road, and we came on the normal road. I said, my God, Prabhupada saw this, the same thing when he saw lights in New York. Prabhupada's first reaction was, like when we see America, we see wow. When Srila Prabhupada saw light, he writes in that bhajan, Markine Bhagavatam, he says, I'm seeing darkness everywhere. He could see light, actual light, and he's seeing darkness. And we see Tamogun and we are like, wow. So, Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutana Tasyam Jagrati Sanyami. Bhagavad Gita says, what is night for a realized soul is day for a materialistic, and what is night for a materialistic is day for the realized soul. So, pure devotee always feels for others. I remember once in Kumbh Mela in the year 2000 January, it was freezing cold. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj was in the preaching tent where you preach. And you're sitting in that tent and meeting all strangers. And I was a young brahmachari who was always attached to being close to Maharaj. I would always carry my notebook and pen, and whatever Maharaj spoke, I would write. And whatever he did, I would write. As if, so I had that youthful, young, childlike, innocent attraction and faith. So I would just be like a shadow running behind him. And he was very mercifully tolerated me. And so he was in the tent talking to all these strangers. I was sitting next to him and writing. So this one man came. He was a very sophisticated, IAS officer, very sophisticated man. And he was asking challenging questions, many challenging questions. We'll discuss all of them later. But in this context, I'm saying, one of the questions he asked, I remember, Swami, don't you feel anxiety? Don't you feel stress in life? And immediately Maharaj said, I feel a lot of anxiety when I see people like you. I feel, when will they become devotees? My anxiety and my stress is for you. Please chant Hare Krishna. He so spontaneously said it. So then I realized how, for a devotee, and Maharaj said this sentence, I remember, my anxiety is whether you will become devotee or not. I want everyone to become devotee of Krishna. That is my anxiety. So such a person can take the risk of having 104-degree temperature and giving a preaching program. So I remember, I have not seen this incident, but Sanat Kumar Prabhu, one of our temple presidents, told me this, that when he was a young bhakta, he joined, Maharaj got malaria. That was the first time and also the last time. We all hope he never got malaria after that. So that was the malaria he got, and that time he did a bhakta in the hospital, and he became delirious. Sometimes when you have very high fever, you get delirium. Delirium means you speak incoherent things. कुछ भी बोलते हैं ना. So Maharaj was in a state of delirium. He's lying on the bed, ground, and is very high malaria fever. And for those 2 days of delirium, Sadhu Kumar Prabhu says that the entire 2 days, Maharaj spoke all the pastimes of Krishna killing demons in Vrindavan. एक एक करके सबको मारा महाराज. So Putana came dressed as a maid, nurse. She was beautifully dressed. So like that, Maharaj spoke slowly, clearly, Putana killing, then Shakatasur, Trinavarta, Bakasur, Arishtasur, Brahma Vimohan Lila, Govardhan Lila, पूरा वृंदावन pastimes, पूरा एक एक करके. In a delirium is a state of unconsciousness, subconsciousness. We are not conscious. So if you are so Krishna conscious in an unconscious state, then I think you can do all of this. And so see, living for others is not easy. Only those who are filled with Krishna, they can live for others. And Bhishma spontaneously is not thinking of self, but he's thinking of Yudhishthira Maharaj. That means his whole life, this is a proof that whole life he lived for them. Right? So this is the way we see this pastime. Bhishma Pitama was in the mood of always serving, always giving care. So therefore, when he's dying, when he's leaving this world, he's spontaneously able to give care. So we have examples we discussed today of Bhishma, Srila Prabhupada, and His Holiness Radhana Swami Maharaj. There are many more devotees. But I'll pause there. If anybody has any question, you could take. Or any comment on this very intense topic. Hare Krishna. We have not completed the purport. There are other themes also. There's one more theme, but we have just taken the first theme. The first line we took, the first 2 lines. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
At the time of death, too, we are in such a painful condition that it becomes intolerable. So how can one remember Krishna? Because अभी इस अवस्था में भी थोड़ा बॉडी पेन होता है, frankly speaking, मेरी तो हेकड़ी बंद हो जाती है थोड़े बॉडी पेन में. तो how is it possible to remember Krishna at the time of death in such a painful condition?
I don't know about remembering Krishna at the time of death, but we have to remember Krishna when we are healthy and when we are in good health. And when Krishna sees that sincerity, Krishna will help us remember him at the time of death. Yadi vatadi doshena mad bhakta mam nacha smaret aham smarami mad bhakta tepi yanti parangati. Krishna says that if my devotee cannot remember me because of bad health in the time of death, yadi vatadi doshena, because of the imbalance of air in the body, mad bhakta mam nacha smaret, he cannot remember me because of the suffering that he is going through. Yadi vatadi doshena, because of imbalance of air, mad bhakta mam nacha smaret, my devotee doesn't remember me. Don't worry. Krishna says, aham smarami mad bhakta, I will remember my devotee. Tepi anti parambatim, I will take him. Now you can't take this statement of Krishna as a license and be complacent now. This is for those devotees who have sincerely practiced whole life, but during death, they're really struggling or they are not able to. Like Indian cricket players played very well, 10 matches, but the 11th match they lost, finals. So we may say they are useless. But those who are connoisseurs of cricket, they will say, अरे यार अच्छा किया, वो पूरा 10 मैच का वो लोग ने हिसाब देखा, वो लास्ट का 1 मैच का नहीं देखा. So Krishna will not see, all the final match is most important. But Krishna has different, I told you, Krishna's way is different. So don't worry about not remembering Krishna at the time of death. Remember, practice now. And what will happen at the time of death? You will remember Krishna. See, what happens is, what we do the whole life will be tested at the time of death. Life is preparation, death is examination. And what is there, it will come out. And you cannot hide it. Like, Tenali Rama, Krishna Deva Raya, was a king. So in his kingdom, one man came and said, I know 25 languages, but whoever can guess what is my mother tongue and logically prove it, I will accept that your kingdom has really intelligent people. So then people started asking him in different languages. Every language he spoke so fluently that nobody could understand what is his mother tongue. He spoke every language, Marathi, Gujarati, Hindi. Arey, what's the language concept? So Tenali Rama said, I will tell. Give me one day. Tomorrow morning, I'll tell in the court. So the Krishnadeva said, Arey, meri laaj bachao. This is very important. So the night what Tenali Rama did, when this guest was sleeping in the guest house, Tenali Rama arranged one person to go stealthily and put one bucket of cold water on him. As soon as that cold water bucket was thrown on him, immediately what that man said, he shouted in his mother tongue something. Who is this? What? So then Tenali Rama ne note kiya, ye iska language. This is what happens, right? The provocative situation, what is there inside comes out. Similarly, the time of death, whatever we have done whole life. So Bhishma was serving whole life. So now when he's dying, he's only thinking of Pandava. It's like I give the example. वो ट्रक चला गया है पर उसके शोल्डर में लगा वो सोच रहा है. See Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj, I remember seeing him. He was very, very serious. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur disciple. So at the age of 85 or 86, he was when we went to his matha in Jagannath Puri. Anybody says Prasad Kao, Prasad. Vaishnav, he's such a senior leader. Even any person comes, he insists that they get prasad. So when he was leaving this world, he was lying on the bed and everybody is chanting. You would look, any devotee would come to see him, he would say, Prasad Pao. You go Prasad Pao. Like, whole life is served. So even when he is leaving this world, he's not thinking about, अरे अभी मेरा क्या है BP, sugar, क्या problem चल रहा है मेरा, मैं मर रहा हूँ, जिंदा हूँ, नहीं, ये प्रसाद पाए क्या? आप कोई भी डॉक्टर पे कह रहा था, इनको प्रसाद पिलाओ. क्योंकि whole life वो किया. See, Srila Prabhupada, if you see, this is what he was doing whole life. He wanted to serve, he wanted to give Krishna. So when he was in the last days, 1977 May, he left this world in November 1977, he was very sick. So Madras governor, see, Prabhupada was in Rishikesh, he was in Mumbai, and they are planning to take him to Rishikesh for recovery. So at that time, the governor of Madras came to Bombay. His name was Patwari, very, very influential person. So he told Srila Prabhupada that, Swamiji, you come to Madras, you are sick. We have, I have my governor's bungalow there. So you can stay in my governor's bungalow and you will get recovered fast and everybody will take care of you there. So Prabhupada heard him and Prabhupada said, you are governor and I know you are very close to Indira Gandhi. Why don't you please tell her that my boys and girls, they are not CIA agents. They are nice boys. They have left everything in America. So please, can you convince her? He was confused. He said, अरे मैं कुछ intense बोल रहा हूँ इनके health के बारे में. Srila Prabhupada was completely indifferent to his health situation. He is asking, can you please convince Mrs. Gandhi that my boys and girls who come from USA are not CIA agents? And very passionately Prabhupada spoke. So then Patwari said, he heard the whole thing and then he said, Prabhupada became quiet. Then he said, Swamiji, in Madras, if you come, the best South Asian doctors are in Madras. The whole of South Asia, Indonesia, Philippines. And I have access to all of them. So if you come there, then you can stay in the bungalow and all these doctors can come and visit you. And you will know which doctor is compatible with you and we can start a proper treatment. So this Patwari made a proper presentation. Prabhupada heard him patiently and then Prabhupada said, can you get permanent residency for my disciples? So he was bewildered. So our Bhakti Govind Maharaj, he said this past time that in Vrindavan and Prabhupada was leaving this world, last days. And he was that time Grahastha. Maharaj was that time Grahastha. He was Ayodhyapati Prabhu. So he was the kitchen in charge. So Prabhupada said, Prabhupada's last day, he was very sick. He told his Tamal Krishna Maharaj, call Ayodhyapati. So then Maharaj came. Bhakti Govind Maharaj came. Prabhupada looked at him and said, what are devotees having for prasad? Tell me. They said, I'm feeding them, this in lunch, this is in breakfast. Okay, they are happy? Yes, Prabhupada, I think they are happy with the prasad. Okay, go. So this is what, so he was saying that this is what Srila Prabhupada's mood was. Once Srila Prabhupada looked at Tamal Krishna Maharaj and said, call all the devotees. So the devotees came. Prabhupada looked at them. He's struggling to breathe, but he looked at all of them. He smiled and said, I'm very happy. I wanted to see you. Now you can go. So, Ayodhyapati Prabhu, when Bhakti Govind Maharaj says that once he went to Srila Prabhupada's room, so two devotees were there, and then They had some service, they went, and Prabhupada was alone. Now, this is not, he was not very sick that time. He was not completely bedridden. It's like he was in the bed and he was also having little, he was translating also. September, October 1977. So, translating means you would speak on the dictaphone. So, when Agadapati Prabhu came to the room from behind, Prabhupada was sitting. He even lying on the bed, he got up and he had held his knees and he was rocking front and back and chanting this famous line from Narottam Das Thakur's Bhajan. Thadera charana sevi bhakta saneva janama janame hoye abhilash. Prabhupada chanting this line again and again. This line means that I want the shelter of devotees, I want to serve devotees. Not just this lifetime, but birth after birth. So this is the mood in which Srila Prabhupada was there even in his last days, because this is what he was doing his whole life. See, Prabhupada never took his position as a global founder Acharya of ISKCON very seriously. He presented himself as a Vaishnava, a servant of devotees. And in that mood he served. Because this desire we have for name, fame, position, lauding, that is the biggest, most powerful aphrodisiac. The greatest sex stimulant you may get in the market, but that is nothing compared to the power, position, and the name, fame. I want so many followers on social media that we forget all our humble roots when we get all of that. But Bhishma Pitama, Haridas Thakur, Prabhupada always gives the example of Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur was dying, devotees said, all devotees are remembering Bhishma, because Bhishma was dying, Krishna was there. When Haridas Thakur was leaving this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there. So Haridas Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and Bhishma Pitama, they all represent the same mood. In fact, last days, when Prabhupada saw Bhavananda Prabhu, Prabhupada started crying like a baby, holding him and telling him how much you are suffering because of me, because of serving me. Because Bhavananda Prabhu was helping devotees in Mayapur where Muslim dacoits had attacked and the whole temple had to be saved. So, see, the point is, when we are, answer to your question, the point is when we are alive, healthy, do we care for others? Do we live for others? Do we remember Krishna? We are not on a bed of arrows. We are lying comfortably on our bed with AC on. And are we seeking others' well-being? So this is the one theme of the purport. The other theme is Bhishma analyzes why Pandavas were, despite all these problems, why they were safe. That we will discuss in our next class. It's 8:40 now. We'll stop. So we have covered one part of this is one of the most important verses in the Bhagavad. Because everybody goes through suffering and they think, why me? So I thought, let us get deep into this verse, because here is talking about suffering. Why? Aho kashtam, aho, and two things everybody goes through: injustice, anyayam, and kashtam, suffering and injustice. So this is exactly what Bhishma is talking about. How to handle injustice and suffering. So we'll take the second thing next time. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.